Hello and welcome. So I'm here as a new YouTuber, old to the trade. I've been back in YouTube for a while. I'm deciding to get back into it and see how it sees the community. So today I'm going to be coming to you with a Caddy and Jellyfin install on how to reverse proxy basically any web-hosted app with a port on it and Caddy. So this is for a Windows tutorial. If you don't know much about Windows, then I'm here to help you, basically. So we're going to need a couple main tools. We're going to need Caddy, the EXE. We're going to need NSSM, which is Not Sucking System Manager. And what that does is that allows it to auto start Caddy when we run in Windows. Then we need Caddy, which is our reverse proxying system, which is an app that's open source. It's based on how to get it's based on an architecture that basically allows everything to be your Let's Encrypt and everything all in one system, automatically done, so you don't have to worry about updating your registration certificates every time you want to do it. And you're going to need a sub handler for your domain, so such as Duck DNS I'll provide, and I'll supply another one such as Cloudflare, which I use personally for mine. So let's get started. So first what we're going to do is go into Jellyfin. So we want to go to jellyfin.org. We're going to click on download, and since I'm on Windows, I'm going to scroll down to the Windows documentation. For some of you, this may vary in if you've already installed Windows and have already installed Jellyfin, you can kind of skip this section. The latest release, which was a couple days ago, is 10.85. So we'll download the Windows x64 exe. I'm using Download Manager. You can use anything you want to download, whether it's your web, your browser, or whether it's just this. I'm just going to download to PC programs. I'm going to click open. I'm going to download that. It should be done in just a moment. So we'll wait for that to load. Just as a brief minor thing, I'll also put all these links in the description of what you need. You also need a text editor too. So now we're going to go to Caddy. You can go to caddy.community. I just do that because it's simpler to find the download page. Once that loads, you should be able to go into up here where it says Wiki. No, not Wiki. Hold on. GitHub. Yeah, GitHub. Then you can go in here to caddyserver.com. Go into download. And depending on what packages, you should only download the necessary ones. It automatically is going to view your platform. So it should automatically know what your platform is. You're going to go down to DNS Cloudflare if you're using Cloudflare. I always recommend doing Cloudflare and Duck DNS just in case you decide you don't want to use your domain anymore. You don't have to download a full another program again. So we'll do Caddy Cloudflare and Caddy Duck DNS. You can obviously choose whichever one suits you, but I recommend doing both in case you don't want to use Cloudflare anymore. And then we click standard features up there is fine. Everything default. Click download. Again, I'm using this. You can use your browser if you want. I'm going to download that. Next, we're going to need NSSM, which if you just type in Google NSSM, you should be able to find it because there's only one name for it. Here we go. We're going to click on the download. I'll also put these links in the description so they're easy to click, but just in case you don't have those, we're going to click on this one, the 2.24. We're going to download it to our, just download it to our same folder we had before. So in my, again, you can download to any directory you want. I'm just putting in here, PC downloads. Once all those are downloaded, let's get started with installing Jellyfin. A good thing to note is that I don't have Jellyfin on this computer. It's not my main computer I use for Jellyfin, but I'm going to use it as a test dummy to show you exactly how to run it. So once we have all that, we can close all those out, and we can go into our Caddy install, or I'm sorry, our download directory, which is in our D drive. So we'll go into D, PC programs, and I'm going to run my Jellyfin install first. And when Caddy downloads, don't worry about this right now. You don't really need to know much. Did it not download? It's still downloading. We'll let it keep downloading. Well, that's running and downloading. We'll run Caddy. So first you want to rename Caddy to caddy.exe, just for simpler terminology. And you're going to paste that into your C. Well, you can paste it really anywhere you want. I preferably made a folder in here called Tools. That way, if you run a lot of open source like Radar, Sonar, Prowler, Jellyseer, whatever, I put them all in Tools so that way I have them all in one place and I have to have multiple directories inside my main OS root drive. So here's Caddy. I'm going to open a Caddy folder. I'm going to paste this in here. Okay. Once that's done, we're going to go into example and we're going to go into Caddy. And you need to edit your Caddy file. So This first, I'm going to show you how to do this with Duck DNS. So let me load up our Duck DNS. Search up on Google. .org. I always forget it's .org. We're going to sign in. There's multiple different ways you can sign in. I'm just going to do it with Google. I'll come back once I log in. Here you're going to have your account login. I'm going to have all this blurred, but you'll basically need your token, and that's about it. This is a free way to create a reverse proxy for your users. So I'm going to select my domain. So we're just going to do like, I don't know, Demon Warrior Tech .DNS. Let's see if it's available. And it is. So we added Demon Warrior Tech. Now you're going to make sure IP is correct in here. I'm not going to show mine because, well, it's a security issue. But you want to make sure your correct IP is on there. So if you go to ipchicken.com, it'll show your external IP. So once you have that done, you need to go into token, copy your token. So we'll copy this token to here. And you're going to paste it after the DNS, Duck DNS. You're going to paste your token right there. So we'll just put Duck DNS token. I'm not going to put mine in because I don't want it to be shown. And then you want to put your subdomain. So mine is Demon Warrior Tech .duckdns.org. That's going to be our subdomain to Duck DNS. Then in here you have your local. So if you're hosting your Jellyfin, which 8096 is a Jellyfin port. If you're hosting Jellyfin, what you want to do is type in your IP. So you can do 127.0.0.1. That's your local host. But for me, what I always recommend is you can type in ipconfig on terminal. So let me go back to that. It's called ipconfig, and it'll show you all of basically your internal IP addresses. So here's mine. This is my internal IP address, 192.168.1.198. If I was hosting Jellyfin on a different system, it's always best to put that in, even if it's not, because that way you just know guarantee it's going to go to your direct Jellyfin install. And then port 8096, which is my Jellyfin port. Now, if I'm doing another app, let's say Sonar, and I want to expose it to the World Wide Web, to my users, you can do 8.9.8.9 and just keep that same IP or whatever the IP is in your house. Let's say I have two computers with two different installs. So I have one running Jellyfin and one running Sonar. So I could change that to 111, and that would be my Sonar install. So let's say my Sonar install is running on a different computer. That's how you change it. So let's say I want to run multiple apps on multiple different devices and have them all linked to the World Wide Web of Demon Tech Warrior.duckdns.org. All you have to do is change a simple internal IP, which is the IP of the computers. So this one's 198, this one's 1.1. And you put the port, and that should link it no matter where you are in the world. It should link it to that website. But we're just going to stick with Jellyfin for right now. So I'll send this document in, and I'll put a document, upload it so you guys can see it. Because if this is not formatted correctly, whether it's a miscalculation, a misquote, it will definitely not work. You'll get lots of errors, and it can be very confusing to debug, especially if you're a first-time user. So next, I'm going to install Jellyfin just on this computer. I already have a big system running upstairs, but for right now, we'll run it on here. So let's do that. It's going to let us install it. It's going to ask us for permissions. Okay, we can click on that. Click on cancel the first one because I actually did two. Hold on one second. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, now it's going to run you through the install. Now, the great thing about Jellyfin for Windows is that even if you have a newer installation, all you do is click the exe and it walks through the install. We can just click on, you're going to start off with all these yes, agree into terms and conditions. Click I agree. Basic install is recommended. You always want to do this unless you're a very, very expert. And even myself as an expert, I rarely ever use this, if ever. So you just always want to pick on the recommended installation service. Next, it's going to install it to our C program files, which is fine. Next, it's going to have basically our configs, our plugins, are going to be installed into program data. And our web UI will be installed into program data, which will be useful for later. We'll let this install and back. Actually, I'll speed it up during this process, just so you guys know how quick it goes. And we'll come back when it's done. I'll do it at about 10 times the speed. Okay, now that it's done, we have it all installed. We can click close. Next, we're going to load up our Jellyfin tray. So if you click on Jellyfin tray up, that should pull up the Jellyfin UI. We can now set up our Jellyfin. And it's going to ask you to allow these ports. Always select private and public in case you ever change your IP or you're going off a manual IP. All right. Once that's done, we can open up Jellyfin. And the good thing about this is now that we have this opened up, we can just click next. We're going to add our username. I'll just do Demon Warrior Tech. Password, I'll just pick a strong password. This is going to be for your admin account, by the way, so just to let you know. Next, I'm going to add our media. We can add a folder. I'm just going to add a directory of, let's see. I'm going to add my media upstairs, actually, because I have a media upstairs I can add. I have it under, well, I'll go into this later. You can add a remote drive. I think I have it under M. So I already have my remote drive in there. I'm just going to add M. And we're going to add, see what's in there. We can go into movies and click OK. And this is a movies section, so we'll add the movies section. It'll give you a bunch of other options. You really don't need to worry about any of these. You can do all this later on too. You don't need to do this in the first install. I'm just showing you if you are doing the first install that's what you do. Okay, click next, click next. We want to enable automatic port mapping. So this is if you have UPnP, meaning your router settings. This is best for most user case if you're a noob or a new user. I'd always recommend doing this. This is only if you don't want to change a port from 896, which no other app uses that, so it should be fine. Click finish. All right, so now you see our port is on localhost 8096. Okay, so two things we need to do. First thing we need to do is go into our router and settings, but for right now we have our Caddyfile set up. So let me set up. Okay, so I've set up my Caddyfile correctly with the right uh, token and everything. So now we need to go into our firewall, and we're going to do our advanced Windows firewall. So it should be under, if you go to control panel, you just click on Windows firewall, and we want to click on advanced settings. Okay, it's going to ask. Okay, now we can go to inbound rules. We're going to right click on it, click create new rule. We're going to go into ports, click next. And this one, we're going to put on all our caddy ports. So you want 80, 443, 2019. 2019 is our caddy port. 443 is your port for your HTTPS, meaning you can secure port, and 80, which is your HTTP port. These are needed to run caddy. So just click next, allow the connection, next, click next, and we're just going to name this caddy reverse proxy. You can name this whatever you want. It doesn't need to be caddy reverse proxy. I'm just playing this for easy terminology. Okay. All right, now that that's done, I can go into Caddy, and we're going to go into NSSM now. So we're going to install NSSM. Okay. I think that's in my D programs. Okay, and this is where we install NSSM. Open up the WinRAR or on whatever program you want to use. And you're going to extract one file here. So depending if you're on a 64 or an x86, most users that are using servers are on Windows 64. Some are on 86. So what I recommend is taking 64, extract it to your C drive. And again, I do it in tools to keep it nice and tidy. We're going to name it NSSM. Okay. And that should work. If it doesn't work and you get an error on startup, then what you want to do is then you want to use your x64, okay, or the Windows 32. But for now, since that's set up, I know this is a Windows 64, so I should be good. Okay, next we want to go into environment, and this is going to edit and set up NSSM. So if you type in ENVIR, it'll say edit system variables. You click on that, or system properties. You can just type that in. Click on environment variables right here. And this time, we're going to go down to the system variables, go to path, okay, double click it, click browse, and we're going to browse two paths. We're going to browse one for NSSM. So mine is, again, where you just put that tool, it's in C drive, tools, okay, and this is in Caddy and NSSM. So we're going to have both. We're going to add NSSM, and it added it right here, see, browse again, this PC, C, tools, and Caddy. Okay. Once that's done, click OK. OK. And then you're going to go into Caddy, or into, I'm sorry, your C drive again. And I don't know if I made this clear earlier, But where Caddy is, you want to have a name called Caddyfile, which is the example I will be uploading for you guys to download to use as a base. Okay, and then you're going to have your caddy.exe. So now it's really simple. Now we just go into a PowerShell. You're going to need to run it as admin. Okay, and then we're going to do cd c:/tools / caddy. Okay, and this is what we're going to test to see if it's working. So we're going to go into, let's make sure our Jellyfin is still up. Good. Okay. Now we're going to try to, oh, I forgot. Before we do this, we also have to go into here, into our Internet Explorer, and we have to load up our router settings. So mine is on 192.168.1.1. Yours may vary from different types. I do use a third-party router. So this is third-party software, so it may not be the same as yours, but that's okay. You're going to go down to ports and port forwarding, which is usually somewhere in between your router settings. And you want to have 443, 80, and 2019 to your local IP. So let's say mine's not 211111. It's, I don't know, it's 192.168.1.98. We'll change this just for right now. Okay. We'll change this. Okay. Change this. Yours may be different. You only need to set the external port and internal port. You don't need a source address, and it is on TCP. So I have TCP. So now that's set. Click save. Okay, it's going to save. Again, this will vary between the person, but as long as you have those ports forwarded, you should be set to go. Now if we go into here, and we go into caddy, run, and this is just a test, config, Caddyfile. I'll put these commands in the description as well. See, and it's running. We're just going to accept these. And now let's try to access our domain. I'm going to go into, what is it? Daemon Warrior Tech.DuckDNS.org. And there you go. You successfully reverse proxied your internet. And I'll show you just to make sure you know it's real. Daemon Warrior Tech. And we're typing my password. And there we go. You have now successfully reverse proxied your domain. Now, if you're still having issues, one thing you should do is you should set up under dashboard, under your admin account. If you go down to, I think it's under networking, you want to make sure you set it so you can access it outside of your internal internet access. So if you do that, to do that, all you have to do is go down here and change this to 443. I think that's the right one. Let me just double check. Yes. So just enable this to 443, your public HTTPS port. Click save. And now if you load it up on your phone, you should have your domain running. If there's any other questions or concerns, let me know. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to cancel this. And we're going to do an automatic script. So I'll be right. Okay, now that we have that set up. Okay, so one thing I did wrong was if you go into environment variables and you go to path, just make sure you're setting it up as a new path. So now if we type in NSSM, you can check and see it shows that NSSM is here. So now we're going to load it up in an administrative module. So we're going to open up PowerShell as administrator by right-clicking. We're going to type NSSM install Caddy. You can name this whatever you want, but the service name I'm going to name it is Caddy. Next, we're going to find our Caddy location. So we're going to go to C, Tools, Caddy, Caddy.exe. The startup directory is just Caddy, so that's fine. Next, we'll run this script command, which I will list in the description as well. It's run --config ./caddy file. Okay, we'll click install service. Now, if we do NSSM start Caddy, it should start Caddy. Now we can check this by going to services. So you just type in search bar services. We're going to find the look, there's a service, and it looks like it's running. Let's check our online domain and make sure it's working. So we'll go to Daemon Warrior Tech. .duckdns.org. And there you go. You have now just set up your fully installed Jellyfin server with Caddy, reverse proxies, and Duck DNS. I'm going to come back with another tutorial because this one's getting a little long, with how to set up your Caddy DNS with Duck DNS, or I'm sorry, with Cloudflare and a domain name. If you guys have any questions or considerations on videos I should do, please give me a comment or reach out in the comments and let me know. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope you enjoyed the video.